Hi, friends, and welcome to Only Green. An owl is a bird which has a lot of superstitions and myths associated with it. What are the facts actually around this? Today, we'll try and understand more about all these and much more. We have with us a person who's very passionate about birds, not just photographing them, but studying more about them, different species, their lifestyle, and also their role in maintaining our ecosystems. Miss Reena Philips. Reena is from Bangalore and she developed this passion towards birds from a very young age. She's blessed with two daughters, Bliss, Olivia, and Besty, Evangeline, aged 14 and 11, who are also passionate about birding. She's a biker and also a traffic warden with an organization in Bangalore, volunteering to help Bangalore Traffic Police and also the public. Let's understand one of her favorite topics, the owls. Welcome, Reena, to Only Green.
Thank you so much, Abraham, sir. It's a great pleasure and a honor to be having this discussion or having this known with you, talking about my most favorite word. Of course, there are many of them. Owl probably stands on the first place for many reasons. Um, so how did this passion start, or how did I get more closer to birds, is a story in itself, which I did not myself realize till I got to a point in my life. So as birds are always around us, it was in us and around us in the family. It was my dad. It was definitely him who first unknowingly or knowingly put this interest in me. So I should say that probably I was of age 8, 9 when I don't even realize that how important the birds were. Now I really feel, oh boy, what have we lost in life for some of the species, definitely. So it was daddy who used to wake me up in the mornings, and he's like, see this bird. Then we used to know it as parrots, but now I have learned they are not actually called as parrots, but parakeets, which used to come and sit on the guava trees in our backyard and nicely eat the fruits, the ripened ones especially. And he used to wake me up early morning to come and see those birds. And I think that installed a lot of watching and the habit of knowing about birds. And of course, not only parrots, there were the sparrows which were nesting in our house. We definitely, I'm sure, Abraham sir, you will agree with me, we have seen in our houses in our backyards, that sparrows used to come and nest. So now, of course, very sorry state of our lifestyle that we have lost them around us. But then, yes, those were days that I really enjoyed, without knowing that future someday I would just get so closer to them. So in April 2019 is when I actually again started very closely getting to know these birds. And August 2019, it so happened that I lost daddy. And to overcome that agony or pain, or just to keep myself, I started watching birds. So whenever I saw parakeets, whenever I saw house sparrows, I used to recollect what daddy used to talk about them. And that's how I started seeing daddy in these birds. And I, without knowing, I started inculcating in myself to read about them, to know more about them, and to love them so much that every weekend I'm excited and waiting for a weekend that I run with my camera. Of course, then I had a very basic camera, not that super lensed ones and all that, but watching them, it's in itself was a fun, and definitely loved watching birds slowly. And of course, I should mention one of my very good friend from childhood, Sandesh. I call him Sandy. So he was the one who first introduced me to the places where I can locate birds in Bangalore, in and around the place that we live, and also helped me to learn about birds, the bird names. And I was fascinated how he remembered so many birds. And he challenged me, Akka, it's just matter of 1 year. I'm sure you will also. Now he definitely says that I'm so proud that he definitely says, see how much more you are involved in birds than me now. So that is one badge kind of whenever he says that. But definitely thanks to him at this point in time. That's the journey, how it began, watching birds. And how did I get close to owl is a story. again. So it so happened that pandemic times we all got stuck at home, and we all were like trying to keep ourselves occupied other than being just at home. So bird watching, and thanks to work from home opportunities, that I got a lot of time in the morning that I could step out and see the birds around our area, in the surroundings where I lived. And in the nights, it used to happen that I used to hear a lot of owl hooting. So that kind of attracted me. So I understood that there are so many species of owls around. So in the morning, I used to go in search of them. So when I hear them in the night, then I know, okay, this is where I kind of heard them. So they must be around this radius somewhere. So I started researching on owl behavior, their stay, their movements, the kind of habitat they want to adopt to, and all that. And that's how I've kind of seen many species in and around our place where I live. And the Indian rock eagle owl, that's very favorite of mine. So you must have seen a lot of photographs that I've shared is of that species, and definitely that's where it all began. The love for owls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, actually, when you talk about owls, there are a lot of myths and maybe a lot of superstitions that if you see an owl in the morning, it's a bad omen. And a lot of superstitions, especially in a country like ours.
Yeah.
What is your take on all that?
Yeah, it's very heartbreaking. Very superstitious uh, country that we live in. There are myths, there are beliefs. I don't deny, because some beliefs definitely must be for a reason. And with owl, I know every birder will agree that they are beautiful and want to see more of it and want to go travel all around the world to spot them, because I know there are more than 200 species of owl around the world. India itself homes around more than 30 species of them, and they're so beautiful. I feel the reason why they are kind of horrid, or they are kind of frightened about, or they say inauspicious and all that, that's probably because of the hood or their appearance, their eyes, which kind of scares people at the night. We know owls are night birds, they're nocturnals. So definitely when you see something so bright and staring at you like that with all that big eyes, you kind of at a, yeah, it did happen to me also. Before birding, before I got into serious birding, uh, there were this rock Indian owl, which used to come sit right in front of our house. And I used to see that bird so huge, and I myself used to get so worried, horrified, and run inside the house. But now I definitely want to see them. So now I don't get that chance to see it in front of my house. But then I go in search of it now. So coming back to the beliefs, um, I have read so much about owls that I know people get scared and they connect it to all the evil, the witchcrafts and all that. But then I have also studied that owls are the goddesses Lakshmi's Vahana, they call it. Yeah. So it is the perception of anybody how you see it. I personally feel it would have scared people because of its hoot, its screeches, its cry in the night, and everything that makes sounds in the night kind of creates fear in people, you see. So that's where probably it's all connected to seeing a owl would do bad to you this way. And of course there are beliefs that people practice witchcrafts using different parts of their body. That's a different study altogether. But yeah, if you see it the way it is, a beautiful creature, I really feel so sorry that it's kind of counted in that list where it is scary. Yeah.
Can you also talk about the how what are their food habits, their life habits, their food, how they catch their prey, also how their physical attributes are suited for this? I mean, catching them because they have long claws. How they
Exactly.
how those things are connected?
Definitely, definitely. See, nature is so beautiful in making the species, making any bird for that matter, making us, in fact. So we are so beautifully made for our environment, for our surroundings. Likewise, with every species on Earth. Likewise, with all the prey of, bird of prey, which has certain, they inculcate certain behavior of hunting, right? So if you're talking specifically about owls, they are of different sizes, shapes, and colors. And the scientifically, the family, the classifications for this owl are also kind of Stragidae and Titanate. So these kind of classifications generally tell their appearance. So Titanates are kind of the barn owls. You see, the barn owls have that heart-shaped face, right? So attracted to every birder, and everybody wants to see it. Of course, very tough to spot them in the daylight. But yeah, given a chance, everybody wants to see it, and everybody wants to click. Likewise, the other classification of owl has this what should I say, oval, or this smiley kind of a face. It's that round faced, right, like how we saw in the Indian eagle owl. So these have some features they adopt for their geographical presence and where they live, their food habits, and the habitat, of course. So when coming to what they eat and what they like to eat, right? So we see a lot of owls having the habits of eating. Rather, if we even talk about their habitat itself, they are carnivorous forest breeders. There are mountain breeders. There are desert and plain breeders. So if you look at these varied kind of uh, areas that they are present in, or the habitats that they are present in, we know that they can adopt to certain food habits, right? So owls, being the bird of prey, they mainly are carnivorous, of course, without knowing. I think any UKG or LKG kid these days will also know that. But yeah, when we say carnivorous, they can eat from anything like spider, earthworm, a snail, a crab, or a fish. Of course, a fish. Yeah, we have owls that eat fish and small mammals. The more popular one, the barn owl, which kind of attracts all of us. We know that they love eating rodents. They love eating rats, the mice, right? So they are more favorite to the farmers also, we can say, because they keep their farm safe from all these attackers. And coming to their claws, coming to their body features, right? So all these owls are kind of have their facial disc and their eyes, especially the owl's eye. Oh, I just get carried away when we are talking about its eyes. We don't studies is already proven that the eyes of these owls are binocular vision. They don't have this how we can rotate our eyes to all the corners. They cannot do that, and that's how they turn their head itself. So we know that owls can turn their head to 270 degrees because their eyes are pocketed in the skull. So that's how they cannot just look around, but then they turn their head to look around themselves. Yeah, that's one of the very beautiful feature of owl, which I am personally attracted to. And if you will observe the owl's eyes, we see their color different. Some have the orange, some have the black eyes, and some have the yellow eyes. So what does these kind of signify? Does it signify anything at all? If we look at that, right, it is believed and it is studied, of course not very well proven, but then the similar kind of species which have these colored eyes, right? So it's believed that the owls which have the eyes of orange color or the black color, they are nocturnals. They kind of prefer to hunt in the night. But that again, see, if you're hungry, do we wait and watch? Okay, it's morning or night or whatever the time, you just go and try to get food for yourself, right? Likewise with this birds too. When owl is hungry, he can go and hunt at any time. And if you're lucky to spot one in the daytime, of course we all know that major of these owls are resting in the day. But if they are disturbed, if they are troubled, if they are restless for any reason, or if they are hungry, they can even go out and hunt in the night times. So, and the owls which have this yellow color eyes that we were referring to, these kind of are they kind of can hunt during the day and night. So they have well adopted eyes to have this switch between their hunting habits. Of course, they are They are beautiful to watch in whatever it's usually from dawn or the dusk, you see that light, the twilight of the day. So it's just then that we can actually spot these wonderful winged beauties, I call them.
Okay. When you
Yeah,
talked about their habitats, you said they are mostly in the forests or in the desert regions, but then you see a lot of them in the urban areas too. And
exactly.
once we see in the urban areas, are they also adapted to live in the forests, or is it a different kind of adapt or different kind of physical attributes?
Yeah, so actually, these birds are not very well known for migration. They adapt themselves to the kind of environment that they live in. They are kind of nomads. They kind of travel to certain distance, and during the mating period, they have their own place, and they make that habitat very, very, very secular to themselves, and they come back during the mating days, and when they raise their owlets are raised, the nestlings are raised, they come back to that place, and they kind of adopt to that place itself. We have no records of learning of how owls migrating a long distance though, but they kind of adapt. When you said urban, of course, yes, I have a lot of outlets around my house here, and during the nights I've literally seen around 5 to 6 of them, which are in groups and hunting mice around this place. So yeah, urban, I think these birds are well adopted to this region, and where the food is present in abundance, why not? Why not? They stay there and they just adopt themselves to that environment there.
Okay, now then we say that these birds come to the urban habitats, but can these birds, owls, be domesticated? Can we take them to our homes and feed them and breed them? Is there
Definitely.
any particular law which says no to it, or something like that?
Definitely, there is a Protection Act 1972 that's imposed on owls too, with so many other species of birds. So humans are, for whatever the reason, we have learned that for witchcrafts, it's known for the practice of that, or they are used their skull, the skin, their ear tufts, their eyes, every part of their body, it's kind of used for one or the other purpose. And to protect these birds, especially the spotted owlets, the rock Indian owls, these species are majorly hunted for their diversified ear tufts or their eyes and the skull and all that, right? So definitely there's a law. And if you there are countries where these owls are as pets at home, so that needs a license, of course, and a well trained uh, there is a training that you'll have to undergo to kind of learn how to tame these, because we know they are carnivorous, and we know that they eat meat every day, they will need meat every day, and you can't restrict them in certain place, you see. They want to just be, they go fly around, they do a survey of that place, and they just come back and rest in its habitat and all that. They just make a territory of theirs. So I personally feel we restrict all that freeness of these birds, and then kind of put them in a cage, or if you leave them loose at home also, I definitely feel that that's not a practice for any bird for that matter. I know there are birds that are treated as pets at home, but I personally feel none. It is beautiful to see them in their habitat. Just go watch them there, listen to their chirps, and just enjoy being there with them, and come back and relish that moment, than having them under your roof.
Okay. Now coming back to pure birding, uh, where do you move around looking for birds? I mean, yeah, can you give us some experiences which you cherish?
Oh, definitely. Most of the birds, whatever I have seen, is in and around Bangalore. It's beautiful, different habitats, different kind of what should I say? The surroundings for the birds, the way our geography is around this place. It's kind of any bird can adapt to this place, you see. I mean to say, of course, not any bird. When I say any bird, of course, the ones that can live
Native.
around this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Native birds.
Sorry.
Native birds.
Yeah,
Birds.
native birds.
Yeah.
Yes, native birds. So, and definitely when I travel, we make trips, monthly ones, or whenever we all are kind of stressed and we want to take breaks from our work and studies. We just plan a trip, and definitely in that trip is my birding activity involved. So before everybody is awake and get ready for the day, for whatever is the day is planned for, I make sure that I've studied the habitat of that place, the endemic species in that location, and then I reach out to people or friends who can help me to understand where I can see birds. So our recent trip to Kodaikanal was one such. I enjoyed this trip for birds and for the place itself. Have clicked lot of endemic species in that place, and definitely thanks to friends who have helped on that. But yeah, that's how the birding plan would be. And for birds, I haven't traveled especially for birds as such, but I want to cover everything in and around our urban. There are a lot of beautiful species that migrate. Nandi Hills is one place which I love to go again and again for its diversified habitat. You see, there are a lot of migratory birds that come in that place too, and there are a lot of migratory birds that comes to our lakes and ponds around the area. And I definitely encourage people to have these places. So wherever I go, I kind of talk to people, the localites there, and help them understand how important these birds are for us. One such story which I can remember from the past is of the Sadinaru Lake near Mysore. So this place is well known amongst birders for the attraction, or for the bar-headed geese that comes to that location year after year, right? So during I think this is the season end that they would return, but we know these birds come all the way crossing the Himalayas, and they are there for months, and then they go back. So that is such a beautiful place. If only people know the value of those birds, so then they will take actions to protect. There are a lot of projects that are run amongst kids to protect and propagate and bring in that knowledge from their childhood itself to protect such places. Yeah, so that's kind of not only birding. I make sure. So recently it so happened during some festival, I can't recollect the festival name, I'm sorry, but then I was at a pond birding. I did notice some people bringing in the flowers and some other items which I think they've used something for puja or whatever it might be at home. But then they thought that is they can come and dump it in that pond, or just leave it there around the edges of it. So it was my duty and my responsibility, knowing I understand they did not know it. I took that. It's okay for me if there's cold or if they kind of speak behind my back, but that's fine. It's my back. It's at my back. But then for me, what is important is I have done my duty. That satisfaction in me when I have told them that, hey, look, this is how we are spoiling the environment, and this is how it will come back to us at the latest situations. When I tell that, no, they kind of oblige. Some of course will have arguments, but you are kind of polite and you tell them this is what it is. I definitely know that people have understood, and they've gone back to their garbage and they have dumped it where it has to be dumped properly. There are times wherein I have seen the youngsters, very young people, also just throwing the plastics and whatever they're eating packets just there and walk off. So I've nicely called them also and told them, look, this is what you're doing to the birds and any other. There are a lot of monkeys which will come and eat from those plastics, and they spoil their health, and they even die. There are stories that they even die. And recently we have studied that in Uti, it so happened that the bisons ate the plastics, and when they operated, they saw so many garbages in its tummy. So there are stories like that. So it is our individual responsibility wherever we are. Very politely talk to. I know people would not do it in by wantingly or in ignorance, or just that at that moment they don't realize what they're doing. But it is okay for us to just very gently go up to them and tell them how important it is to protect where we are, and how we can be a part of all this in a very small way that we do.
Okay, now coming to your two daughters,
Yeah.
Bliss and Betsy. I mean, we hear that they are also part of your birding trips.
Oh, oh, very much, yes. So, would you want to come, Bliss
Yeah,
and see?
can
Yeah, please come. So, yeah, it was how it all started was if I step out of the house also, it's kind of these girls are, Mama, I saw that bird and it had this color, the beak was like this, the feather looked like this, and it was perched or it was flying or it was eating. All those things they notice, and when I ask more questions, did it was the beak like this, was the color like this, and all that they explain. And of course they do not know the names. Now they can identify at least 10 birds each. Yeah, so
can we have both of them to, I mean, closer?
yeah, yeah,
Can't see
closer,
their face on
come
screen.
close. Oh, is it okay?
Okay.
Yeah, so
Hi.
that's
Welcome both of
Betsy.
you. Hi, Betsy.
That's Bliss. So
Okay.
yeah, Bliss kind of loves to go with me on the bird walks, and she kind of very patiently, Mama, she kind of helps me identify some of the birds, and if I have missed noticing them, she's like, "There's something I saw moving there here," and yeah, it is fun when your kids are accompanying you, and they kind of get this interest, and just not only that. Now with these kids, what's happened is recently we have seen tailor birds, small the nestling which was fallen off from the tree around the house in my neighbor's place. So we kind of rescued that bird, kind of called the BFA, and so these kids get into such activities. And there are certain people who want to chase away the pigeons for all the mess that they create around the house, is what some feel. So yeah, they go and they say, "No, uncle, please give it to us. There are organizations which take care of these birds, and we book some cab for these birds and send it to that place, and it's safe somewhere." So it's just not that they are just seeing it. And when we install such habits or such things in the children, and not only my girls, I'm not boasting about them, there are I should mention, there's this one good young birding friend of mine, Vivan Padaki. So this guy is so enthusiastic. He's a 9th standard kid, and with him there's Ashwal, who's also a 9th standard kid. So these guys are so enthusiastic. They go study about birds, they click birds, and they ask so many questions. How is that we identify this? How is that you click that? Where is that you go to see this? And their parents are encouraging them. It's not, I was so surprised that, because 9th standard during my days was just play and nothing else. So play, study, eat and sleep was our duty. But these kids doing extra work and trying to learn about protection and conservation, and how much more they can do for conserving these habitats and the birds, right? It's very impressive to see that.
See, in our channel, we always talk about making the world a greener place for our future generations. But then here,
Exactly.
it's really happy thing to see that the new generation is coming in to protect our environment. That's a real
Exactly.
good sign going forward.
Very true. So not only these kids, yesterday I was talking to one of my neighbor. She said, looking at your daughters, looking at you, my son has adopted one behavior. Wherever he sees birds in trouble, he kind of takes them personally and puts it in PFA, which is very close to our place here. Or he calls somebody from there and waits till they come and pick up the bird. It is so nice to listen to these when you hear such things. Not only from here, there are some FB friends and some Insta friends who say it is so inspiring to know, and we inculcate this in our kids, and they ask for tips, they ask for studies. It is so nice to share this knowledge. Not on, I have picked up very little I know about them, not like Deepa ma'am or the Maria ma'am who was talking the other day. Not so much exuberant like them, but then very little
I
things,
agree.
whatever we can
Small
do in
things
our
make the
space.
ocean. Yeah, small things make small drops make the ocean.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
see, if I ask you a quick message, because all these things start as a passion. To begin with,
Exactly.
birding, bird photography, everything starts as a passion. But when you move forward, there is always a message that you're trying to convey through these photographs also. I mean,
True.
if I ask you what is a message that you're trying to convey, or what is the message that you want to pass on to our viewers? What could be that?
Definitely, one thing I would say is don't have that habit or the attitude of it is not my a cup of tea. It is not my job to tell somebody, or why should I get into this? And so if you see destruction somewhere, if you see some life is trouble somewhere, be it a bird, be it a animal, be it a mammal, anything for that matter, just very politely we can intrude. My husband always says, do you want to do this? I definitely feel I will do it, because I know it is wrong what they're doing, and definitely there has to be a way that we have to stop them. So very politely we can. And definitely for younger generation, so much of conservation activities that happens. There are so many groups people get into for planting saplings, or be it kind of learning about birds. There are bird walks where the kid is known how important the species is for us. When you see such species, what they can do to our environment and biodiversity. What about so many things that we can pick up from what we are interested in. It could be a small photography, or it could be through our painting. I know one good friend, through her painting, that is through her bird painting, she communicates a lot of message to younger generation. She kind of talks about how this needs to be conserved, how the habitats needs to be conserved. So we can get into such groups which will help us protect around us, whatever we see around us. If we protect that, right, be it a pond, be it a tree also, for that matter. There are so many birds that comes and nests in those trees, right? If somebody is cutting off, there should be a valid reason. There should be BBMP's permission, not just because you want to construct something there, you cut off the tree. It's not all that, right? So when you voice out, when you care, that's when I think you can kind of get into. Without your knowledge, you will start doing good to your nature and be a part of it.
Thank you, Reena, and of course, Bliss and Betsy, all three of you to joining us. It's been really a different line of talk. I mean, to understand owls to begin with, and then to also realize how important all these species are for our ecosystem. It was really a wonderful trip for the last half an hour. Thanks a lot.
Definitely. Of course, I know I have missed so many things about owl, because definitely 30 minutes is not enough for us to speak so much.
We will have the next sitting for that, sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Thank
you so
you.
much, Abraham, sir.